Brad Williams, Excel Prime. What you need to know about link formula syntax. This is all about structure. In terms of linking, what we're doing is we're linking to external or internal worksheets or workbooks. The way to do that structurally, type this in yourself or point to a specific location. So here we have equals workbook name. This is random. This is purely an example, but this is the structure. If we're referencing a workbook, that means not related to any of the data here. These are worksheets, but the workbook would be another workbook. We'd point to a specific range or a cell. This is the structure. We've got brackets, the workbook name, then the sheet name, then the cell address. That's for a workbook. We want to structure or look at, we want to link to another worksheet. Here's the structure. We want to link to a workbook that's not open. That's the reference. If we want to reference, let's say, a worksheet and add whatever data is on a workbook, we can do that. Let me just point out, this notation represents a workbook that is closed. What am I talking about? When a workbook is closed, this is the reference. So you have apostrophe. The C is the folder, and then the path, and then you finally get to the workbook. And this is where the link is. It's in this, whatever the name of this particular workbook is. Sheet 1, C5. We have brackets, forward slashes, and then we have dollar signs. This is the format you need to follow. Let me just show you an example. This is a workbook that's closed. This is a worksheet that's open. This is worksheet 3 here. If I show you worksheet 3, it's going to say worksheet link example, and that is D4. Go back to sheet 2. It says sheet 3, D4. How do we do it? We just point, hit an equal sign, go to sheet 3, then hit enter. That's an internal link. You can add to this. In other words, if I could put sum and then sheet, and if this is a reference, for example, we could go equals sum. We could go whatever's in here. If we go back here and we just put a bunch of numbers, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, paste, and then it summed the information. That's a worksheet sum. If we go to a workbook, how do we find this information? We have to open up the workbook. You can go up here and go File Open. You can use the Explorer here, whatever works for you. Go File, and I don't know if that workbook is here. And why doesn't it open? Because the name changed. See, it says find workbook link example 1, and this says example XLSX. We'll go here to Explorer, to desktop, go to workbook link example. There's the workbook link example. And if we go back here to our original worksheet, which is 28.3, notice how once we opened up that workbook, that descriptive link has narrowed. Let's say you want to make changes to this link. This is linked. This equals sheet 1, C5. So we go over here to workbook. It references this example right here. Notice C5. Here's the workbook name, workbook link example 1, sheet 1. Go back 28.3, and it says workbook link example. Here's the name, workbook link example 1. It's an Excel file, and sheet 1, C5. Not a big deal. Now to grab this link, you could type this out, but why? Here's a simple way to do it. Open up that workbook. Go File, Workbook. Here we have workbook example. These are just numbers, and we want to link to workbook link example. Go back to the original sheet, equal, go to that workbook link to that particular cell. And if it was a range, you could do a range. Enter. It's that simple. Go back to that workbook. You could grab this, copy, go back to 28.3 and hit paste. All I see is text. You have to add one little trick here. Hit Control Z. And then what we want to do is hit paste special. And then you see here, it says paste link. We have the link right here, as we do right here. So that's one example. Let's say we want to do a little addition. We want to grab something from sheet 3 and add it to workbook sheet 1, and then we want the answer here. We go to sheet 3, D5, and then we'll go to workbook C6. So we'll go to equals, sheet 3, D5, which is 5, hit the plus sign, and then we'll go to workbook and hit 200. This is what it looks like. Here we go, sheet 5, workbook, and just note the language here. You can see we have apostrophe and we have the brackets. These are required. If you modify this, for example, if you break this link, it's going to say, hey, we need that source. Let me point out something here. This is a huge problem. If you break a link and you can't find it, you can't create a new link, you have to try to fix it or you're going to get this reference error. Go back, and I'll show you how to fix this in another session. Just go back in, fix it. Lastly, workbook sheet 1. We're just grabbing the information from workbook 1. You can always read workbook link, and if the workbook's open, you're going to see this workbook link. We'll close this link. It won't change here. This should, F9. You can see now we have the full path. Brad Williams, XL Prime, thank you.